Hello everyone, in this video we'll be talking about the giant covalent structure, right, for diamond and silicon dioxide. So at the end of this video, you will be learning how to link the physical properties with the structure and bonding in diamond, the structure within diamond, the particles within diamond, and the bonding within diamond, and also be able to explain why diamond has a high melting point, why diamond is not able to conduct electricity in any state, and to explain why diamond is actually used in drill tips. Right, and also be able to understand how the silicon dioxide structure is very similar but yet different from the structure of diamond. So what are the physical properties of diamond that we have actually inferred? We actually found out that diamond has an extremely high melting and boiling point, about 4000 degrees Celsius. That is extremely high. It cannot conduct electricity at all in any state, and it's a very hard material, meaning that it scratches everything but nothing can scratch it. So what does it mean to have a very high melting and boiling point? It will actually mean that the attractive forces between the particles in diamond should be very strong, right? And if it cannot conduct any electricity, it should indicate that there are no charged particles within the diamond structure, right? And very hard material, again, means that the attractive forces within diamond is actually very strong. So what can we infer about the particles found in diamond, remembering that it cannot contain any charged particles? So actually diamond consists of only carbon atoms, right? Diamond is actually carbon in a different form, right? And the bonding present within diamond is actually that between the carbon atoms there are very strong covalent bonds, and we have learned that covalent bonds are actually very strong bonds, right? And what makes it even stronger is that every carbon atom is covalently bonded to 4 other carbon atoms, and that cycle continues on and on, right? And what structure is this? Is that the carbon atom is actually covalently bonded to 4 other carbon atoms in a giant tetrahedral arrangement. So let me break this down for you. So a tetrahedral, the word tetrahedral comes from the base word tetrahedron. And tetrahedron, as you can see here, it's a 4-sided figure. So there are 4 sides to this figure, and there's also 4 corners to the tetrahedron. So what does it mean that the carbon is arranged in a tetrahedral arrangement? So we just imagine one carbon in the center of the tetrahedron, bonded to another carbon atom at one of the corners of the tetrahedron, another carbon at another corner of the tetrahedron, the third and the fourth also at all 4 corners of a tetrahedron, right? And this is what we call a tetrahedral formation. So you can see the carbon in the middle is bonded to 4 other carbons, and this carbon will also be bonded to another 4 more carbons. So each carbon you can see here is bonded to 4, and this will continue and continue right all the way to the edge of the diamond. So that means a piece of diamond consists of carbon atoms covalently bonded all the way from end to end, right? So this is one piece of diamond, and in order for me to cut the diamond, I actually need to break the covalent bonds to make the diamond smaller, right? That shows how hard the diamond actually is. So something other interesting that you need to notice about a diamond is that the carbon atoms consist of 4 valence electrons, right? And each valence electrons can form one bond, and each of these 4 valence electron actually forms a bond with another carbon atom. That means that there are no valence electrons left. All the valence electrons are used, and therefore there are no valence electrons left in the carbon in diamond. So that means that there are no electrons available for any sort of conduction of electricity. So let's learn how to explain the various properties of diamond. So how do we explain that diamond has a very high melting and boiling point? So therefore, we are trying to explain why diamond has a high melting point, and we have learned before, right, that for high melting and boiling point means that a lot of energy is required, right? A lot of energy is required. However, there's one thing that you all must notice over here is that because we are talking about bonds, instead of using the word overcome, we will use the word break. So something just quickly to remember is if we want to talk about forces of attraction, we say the word overcome the forces of attraction. However, when we want to use the word bonds, then we need to use the word break. So break bonds and overcome forces. So this is something that you must make sure that you write down properly. So a lot of energy is required to break these bonds. So what are these bonds? So because since that there are strong covalent bonds between every carbon with 4 other carbons atoms in a giant tetrahedral arrangement, and as a lot of energy is required to break these bonds, right? Therefore, diamond has a high melting point. We're also going to learn how to explain why diamond cannot conduct electricity in any state. So therefore, diamond cannot conduct electricity in any state, and because there are no mobile electrons. Remember that we said that all 4 valence electrons in carbon is actually used for bonding. So since all 4 valence electrons in carbon, right, are used in bonding, right, and as there are no mobile electrons present, therefore diamond cannot conduct electricity in any state. Notice that we are using the word mobile electrons here and not the word mobile ions, because here we are talking about electrons. Okay, and then the next one, explain why diamond is used for drill tips. Now, so some of you might be wondering what drill tips. So if you look at the bottom right, that's a hand drill, and at the tip there's actually a very small piece of diamond there, right? So why is it used for drill tips? Because it's a very hard material. So we are trying to explain that diamond is very hard and therefore used on drill tips. And the reason why it's very hard is because a lot of energy is actually required to break the bonds in diamond, right? And what are these bonds? So since there are strong covalent bonds within every carbon atom with 4 other carbon atoms in a giant tetrahedral arrangement, and as a lot of energy is required to break these bonds, therefore diamond is very hard and used on drill tips. You might have realized, right, that this explanation is the same explanation as what we use for melting point, which is true, right? However, this one we need to modify a little bit to say that it's for hardness and not for melting point. Lastly, right, we want to look at how silicon dioxide is the same and but yet different from diamond. So we see that carbon is bonded to 4 other carbon atoms, and that the reason is because carbon has 4 valence electrons. However, if you look at silicon, right, silicon dioxide, right, silicon has 4 valence electrons, but oxygen has 6 valence electrons. That means that silicon can form 4 bonds, but oxygen can only form 2. So it cannot be that silicon form 4 with 4 oxygen and oxygen form 4 silicon. That's not possible. So the silicon dioxide structure is similar. It's a tetrahedral arrangement as well. However, now one silicon atom forms with 4 other oxygen atoms, while one oxygen atoms only bond with 2 silicon atoms. So while carbon is 1:4 and everything is 1:4, but in silicon dioxide, 1 silicon is to 4 oxygen because it has 4 valence electrons, while 1 oxygen can only form to 2 other silicon atoms because it is there's only 6 valence electrons and can form only 2 bonds. Right? So that will be all for the giant covalent structure that's diamond. Right? I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.